So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the Telegraph, or the Tory graph as people call it, hailing Poland's intelligent Brexit. They don't understand the concept of, they said Brexit is about Britain leaving the EU. So this should be about Poland leaving the EU, right? Which Poland has no intention of doing. And this is just such a stupid article, such a dumb article, because what they're talking about is Poland using the powers of, veto and other things, which the UK also had the ability to do. So how can someone write this article? How can a newspaper publish this article when they kept talking about how the UK doesn't have any power in the EU? Suddenly, Poland has all this power. What are they, He-Man or something? Jesus. So Poland has to borrow a phrase from Barnier. Learned the lessons of Brexit. There's a lot of names here which I'm going to struggle to pronounce, by the way, just to let you guys know. The European Commission President and Poland's Prime Minister both warned the EU could collapse amid fears of a looming Polexit, which Poland has no intention of leaving the EU because it benefits too much from it. I suppose that's an argument people in the UK use as well, but let's not go into that. The Polish Constitutional Tribunal triggered a crisis when it ruled national superseded European law, which contradicts a cornerstone of EU treaties, which is EU law is supreme. But Poland is pursuing what some call an intelligent Brexit. What's this about? After the referendum, EU leaders were united that there could be no negotiations without notification of Article 50. So EU leaders have said, look, we're not going to negotiate with you. We're not going to give you a deal. This is what happened, right, from what I remember. EU leaders said, we're not going to give you a trade deal until you've triggered Article 50 and we've come up with a divorce deal, so with the amount. In Brussels, there are rarely talks without talks, but Theresa May fell for the bluff. Now, Theresa May never used the veto power she had. She could have caused absolute chaos within the EU. She chose not to because she didn't understand how much power she actually had, or she was too naive to think that the EU would, by triggering Article 50, the EU suddenly be like, oh no, the clock's ticking. If anything, it had the opposite effect. She set the ticking clock on 2 years of Brexit negotiations with the threat of no deal behind it at the last minute to draw concessions. Now, the UK was never going to go to no deal, which the EU knew. Also, the fact that there were, so many people, Brexiteers, saying the UK has to immediately trigger Article 50 and start negotiations. So for these people now to turn around and say, oh, Poland's being smart, they're not doing Article 50, it's just ridiculous. For these same people to come out and say that, it's very stupid. So here are the names that I've got no chance of pronouncing. So we're going to go with Mateusz, that's definitely not a Polish name, and Jarosław, the true leader of the ruling Law and Justice Party, which, again, very ironic that they're definitely not the Law and Justice Party, will not make that mistake. They will not trigger Article 50. They won't do it. Poland has received 195 billion euros in EU funds, but only about 62 billion in fees since it joined the bloc. And for some reason, the Telegraph only understands it in direct money comparisons, but it doesn't understand how much Poland has benefited from remittance payments from people who would have left Poland and sent money back home. They've got no measurement for that. Or the fact that, people in Poland have benefited greatly from freedom of movement, the ability to go anywhere, just like people who want to travel to Poland or to work in Poland have benefited greatly from freedom of movement. They haven't mentioned that at all. The EU budget guarantees Warsaw another 139 billion in subsidies and 34.2 billion in repayable aid from 2021 to 27. So you can see here that Poland benefits massively from the EU, so they will never trigger Article 50. Unless they do something very stupid. Little wonder the Prime Minister or leader of Poland has branded Polexit fake news, because they have no intention of doing this. There is no legal way to kick a member state out of the EU, and the Polish leader faces no domestic pressure to trigger Article 50 because most Poles support EU membership. Now, the EU, they might step over the line here and say, look, your boy's causing all these problems within the EU. It's going to cause us a lot of pain. Maybe, he's not the one you want, but that would be the EU stepping over a line. Instead, it can simply ignore EU rules that it doesn't want, doesn't like, and continue to bank the cash from Brussels, which isn't necessarily true. The UK, in contrast, paid more into the EU budget than it received back in funding because we were a bigger economy who made a lot more money. We got that money back when it comes to trade. We became the financial service hub of the EU because we were a member of the EU. That was the benefit we got. We made billions of pounds because we were Europe's financial centre. So this point here, again, very short-sighted and very stupid. But you can see here that when it came to Viktor Orban, there was a lot of pressure, at least pressure on von der Leyen, to start suspending EU funds to Hungary to force Orban to address concerns over politicised courts and corruption. MEPs who work on the European Parliament's budgetary committee are called on the European Commission President von der Leyen to use a newly created EU law to freeze payments to Hungary for grave breaches of rule of law. So this is an avenue the EU could go down if they want to with regards to Poland. That's an option. So to make the point that there's nothing that you could do here, again, very naive. Ironically, Donald Tusk, the former EU president, is leading the domestic opposition. He infamously warned Miss May against cherry picking while offering her a slice of cake at a humiliating Salzburg summit. Proper funny that was. The Commission claims it will use all its powers within days to bring Poland to heel, which they are saying Poland has to pay €1 million a day for legal fees or something like that. Brussels can hit Warsaw with lawsuits, and its strongest card, withdraw approval of the 57 billion coronavirus recovery funds. That carries political risk, which, the Poland could start vetoing things, but I don't think the EU's budget is up for negotiations for a few years now, so Poland doesn't have a ton of leverage here. That carries political risks. Mechanisms to strip rogue members of EU voting rights are hobbled by the need to have unanimity among the 27 governments. The problem with that would be Poland and Hungary could work together to stop the EU making certain actions. A double act, essentially. Poland and Hungary, veterans of rows with Brussels over rule of law, have a deal to block any such attempt against each other, so the EU does have issues here. But as a member of the club, rather than one on the way out, it can veto key EU legislation and gum up the Brussels machine, which is true. That's what the veto power can do, which is something the UK could always have done as a member of the EU, but we never did. Or we did on occasion when it came to certain things, but Britain was repeatedly told in the negotiations that it could not enjoy the privileges of EU membership without its obligations, but for now Poland is having its cake and eating it, which to an extent is true, but that's something the EU are going to have to figure out together. But point being is that if you're hailing Poland's smart Polexit, which you're nicknaming it, which is very painful to say, you're very dumb, because they're not leaving the EU, are they? They're not, they are violating some of the rules, but that's not the same as leaving the group, is it? So again, very silly article from these people, very silly, to kind of hail Poland for using its ability to veto and essentially bank money from the EU. Calling that smart. Britain always had that power, not necessarily in terms of subsidies, but in terms of trade. We get benefited massively from being a member of the EU, which is highlighted by us having massive problems economically. But the UK could always have done this. If we needed something from the EU, if we didn't like certain things, we could have always have vetoed things. So this argument this dude's making, we could have breached EU rules and then be like, yo, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. The ECJ will have to come up with something here, I believe, but what the EU are going to do is start charging Poland massive amounts in legal fees, which I wouldn't be surprised if the EU could take directly out of the subsidies that they're going to pay to Poland. Say, you're meant to receive, say, 100 million in, or say, 100 million in subsidies. We're charging you $1 million a day for our legal fees. This row has been going on for 100 days. You're getting no subsidies. Congratulations, you played yourself. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.